Jacob's Ladder, a journey of divine promise. In the ancient land of Canaan, where the sun blazed hot during the day and the nights grew cool beneath countless stars, there lived a man named Jacob. His life had been marked by struggle and striving, but now he found himself on a journey that would transform everything he knew about himself and about God. Jacob had left his home in Beersheba, traveling toward Haran, a distant land where his mother's family lived. The road stretched long before him, winding through wilderness and empty places. He carried few possessions but many burdens, the weight of his actions, the uncertainty of his future, and questions about what lay ahead. As the first day of his journey drew to a close, the sun began its slow descent toward the horizon, painting the sky in shades of amber and rose. Jacob found himself far from any town or settlement, surrounded by the vast quietness of the wilderness. The landscape was rugged and bare, dotted with stones and scrubby vegetation. There were no homes here, no welcoming fires, no soft places to rest. Weary from walking, Jacob knew he needed to stop for the night. He looked around at the barren ground and realized this would be his bed. He gathered one of the larger stones, its surface worn smooth by wind and time, and placed it on the ground. This would be his pillow, hard and unyielding, but it was all he had. As darkness settled over the land, Jacob lay down upon the earth. Above him, the vast canopy of heaven began to reveal itself. One by one, stars emerged from the deepening blue, ancient lights that had watched over countless travelers before him. The air grew cooler, and in his exhaustion, surrounded by solitude, Jacob closed his eyes and drifted into sleep. And then in that space between waking and sleeping, something extraordinary began to unfold. Jacob found himself dreaming, but this was no ordinary dream. This dream carried the weight of reality, the unmistakable presence of the divine. Before him appeared a ladder, a grand structure that rested solidly on the very ground where he lay sleeping. But this ladder did not stop at any earthly height. It rose upward higher and higher, stretching through the darkness, through the stars themselves, reaching all the way to the heavens above. It was a bridge between two worlds, a connection between earth and the realm of God. On this ladder, Jacob saw angels, messengers of the Almighty, beings of light and purpose. They moved with grace and intention, ascending and descending in an endless, beautiful rhythm. Some climbed upward, carrying perhaps the prayers of humanity to God's throne. Others descended, bringing divine messages and blessings to the world below. Their movements spoke of an eternal conversation between heaven and earth, a communion that never ceased. Jacob watched in wonder as these celestial beings traveled the ladder, each one purposeful, each one part of a grand design he was only beginning to glimpse. The boundary between the earthly and the divine, which had always seemed so solid, now appeared permeable, connected by this magnificent ladder. Then at the very top of the ladder, standing above it in glory, Jacob saw the Lord himself. And God spoke, his voice filling the dream with words that would echo through generations. "I am the Lord," the voice declared, "the God of Abraham your father and the God of Isaac." These words connected Jacob to his heritage, to a covenant that stretched back through time. Then came the promises. "The land on which you lie, I will give to you and to your descendants." This barren place was not just empty land. It was promise, it was inheritance, it was home. "Your descendants will be like the dust of the earth," God continued, "spreading to the west and to the east, to the north and to the south. From this one man, lying alone in the wilderness, would come a multitude. All peoples on earth will be blessed through you and your offspring." A promise touching all of humanity. But perhaps most precious were the personal promises that followed. "I am with you," God said, words that spoke directly to Jacob's loneliness and fear. I will watch over you wherever you go. No matter how far Jacob traveled, God's protective presence would accompany him. I will bring you back to this land, God promised. I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you. This was a covenant, an unbreakable commitment from the Eternal to this one man sleeping on stones. When Jacob awoke from his sleep, the morning light was just beginning to break. The ladder was gone, the angels had vanished, the voice had stilled, but everything had changed. The stones still lay scattered around him, yet Jacob himself was transformed. He sat up, his heart filled with awe, and spoke aloud, "Surely the Lord is in this place, and I was not aware of it." This seemed like any other patch of wilderness, yet here the extraordinary had occurred. A holy reverence came over Jacob. "How awesome is this place!" he exclaimed. "This is none other than the house of God. This is the gate of heaven." The ground he had thought common was actually sacred, a threshold between worlds. In the gentle morning light, Jacob took the stone he had used as his pillow and set it upright as a pillar, a memorial to mark this holy moment. Then he poured oil over it, consecrating it. This act transformed the common stone into something set apart, just as Jacob himself had been transformed. He named the place Bethel, which means house of God. Previously it had been called Luz, but now it bore a name that spoke of its true nature, a dwelling place of the divine, where heaven had touched earth. Then Jacob made a vow. If God would be with him, watch over him, provide food and clothes, and bring him safely home, then the Lord would be his God. This stone pillar would stand as God's house, and of everything God gave him, Jacob would give back a tenth. Jacob continued his journey, but he was no longer the same man. He carried with him the certainty of God's presence, the promise of divine protection, and the knowledge that he was part of a story much larger than himself. In that lonely place on that ordinary ground, Jacob had encountered the extraordinary, and his life would never be the same.